Hey guys, happy Monday. I just wanted to pop in really quickly and make a quick video to update you a little bit about our course for this week. Of course, based on the survey results last week, I decided to extend the deadline for your analysis essay. And although it was almost a 50-50 split, the majority of the class did prefer that we extend that due date. So there's no downside to the extension, right? On the other hand, I do think that it'll be overwhelmingly beneficial for everyone. Now, I was a little bit delayed, but I did go ahead today and finish going through all of the drafts on the discussion board. So if you posted your draft, then please do go ahead and check out my feedback. I have not yet updated the grades for week 5 in the grade book, but you should still see feedback from me on the discussion board. The discussion board, I've moved it down to this week, actually to week 7, just to kind of keep moving it down so that you can see it without having to scroll back a week or whatnot. Now, I did want to remind you of a couple of things, very basic things about the overall quality of your writing. First thing is a really simple thing, which is to italicize movie titles. You do not need to italicize movie titles and put them in quotation marks. You just simply need to italicize movie titles. So that's a really easy thing. The other thing I want to remind you is about the overall structure and organization of this essay. For English 112, I didn't spend any time talking about how to organize an essay, how to craft a thesis statement, what a topic sentence was, because having already completed English 112, or excuse me, English 111, I assume that that's a skill set that you brought along with you. Now, in reviewing the drafts, I realized that some of us are more skilled than others. So hopefully, you will reach out to me individually if you feel like you need additional help. But I also want to remind you of some of the resources that we have on campus with the OWCC, or the Oral and Written Communication Center. You can get some kind of tutoring and help either online or in person. So please don't hesitate to reach out to those folks, because we are all here to help you. Also, with Upswing, which is an online tutoring service, I just wanted to remind you that that's there available for you as well. Now, in terms of your thesis statements, this is one thing that was lacking quite a bit with your introduction paragraphs. You want to keep in mind that you are not summarizing. So your thesis statement should represent the fact that you are writing an analytical paper. So what that means is it does not need to be a blanket statement like this was a really good movie. Instead, your thesis statement should identify specific elements of the film that you will be critiquing or analyzing. So you might say something like, because of the phenomenal acting, the engaging storyline, and the high quality set design, this movie, or Finding Nemo, or whatever, just this movie is worthy of all of the praise and awards, right? So then if you craft a thesis statement in that way, then your body paragraphs will flow logically from that. So you want to make sure that your thesis statement is not just a summative statement about the film, such as this is a movie about finding a lost fish. Okay, that's great, but what does that tell me about the goals for your writing? With that in mind, you also want to make sure that you don't summarize. And I know that we've said it before on the Got Questions forums. Many of you have asked me, how do I avoid summarizing? How do I avoid summarizing? And the really most basic way to avoid summarizing is to start with, what am I analyzing, right? I don't require outlines, but if you were to create an outline, what are the 3 things that you are analyzing? And then only talk about those things. So if you're going to talk about the high level of suspense in a particular film, then you're going to talk about why that suspense works really well in the film. Right? You don't have to go in and talk about all of the suspenseful scenes, but you're going to talk about how does the way that the producers, the creators, are, how is their ability to build suspense beneficial to the overall quality of the film? And then you might give examples to help illustrate your point. Please do scroll back on the Got Questions forums, where I answered in really much more detail about how to avoid summarizing from the past couple of weeks, actually, weeks 5, 6, and 7. I might say maybe even week 4 too. I feel like we've been working on this for a little bit of time. Well, this is week 7. So you want to make sure that you don't do that. At the same time, and I'm just looking down at notes that I made while I was reading your drafts, you want to make sure that you remain objective. I know that your writing is opinion based. Obviously, you're writing about a film that you chose, that you have thoughts about. So that is obviously your opinion. However, you do not need to write a sentence that says, in my opinion, or I think, or it seems to me. At no point do you need to put yourself in the writing. It's really great if this is one of your favorite movies. As a analyzer of the film, you don't need to tell me that it's one of your favorites. You don't need to tell me that. So you don't need to tell me when you watched it, who you watched it with. You don't need to put yourself in the paper at all. With that in mind, you want to continue to remain objective by not using first person pronouns, I, me, my, and not using second person pronouns, you and your. Those are all vague pronoun references that you want to avoid. Instead of saying, when you watch this film, well, are you talking to me? Or are you talking about me? Or are you talking about viewers? Or are you talking about moviegoers? Or are you talking about fans or audience members or watchers or any of those actual nouns? So, whenever possible, you want to refrain from using you and your, because you're not actually talking about me. And in this case, if we're really being correct with our pronoun use, you and your would be about the person reading the paper, and that's me. So you want to make sure that you actually use nouns and not vague pronouns. The other thing that I want to remind you is I place sample papers on the Moodle page, not so that you can have, not that you have to write exactly like that writer, but those are students who took my class in the past. I gave them an A on the essay because I thought they did a really good job with structure, organization, and content. So that's what I want you to glean from. Please do, if you have not, go back and read those samples and try to determine where your writing differs from the sample papers. Notice that the samples, yes, there are some details by way of summary, but for the most part, it is analysis and not just a basically a play-by-play of what the film is about. So make sure that you do that. Along those lines, you also want to make sure that you proofread. A lot of the drafts that I looked at, it just kind of looked like there was careless writing, just words in wrong places or very obvious misspellings. So please do proofread. Make sure that you read things out loud so that you can adequately assess whether or not you have done your best work. Okay. Now, one grammar item that I did notice was highly problematic on many, many papers was dealing with fragments and run-ons. Again, because you have already completed English 111, I am assuming that you know what a fragment is and you know what a run-on is, and more importantly, you know how to avoid them in your writing. If you would like some additional support with those topics, then please do let me know. Also, though, I'm going to put some PowerPoints on this page, just the same material that I use in my English 111 class. I'm just going to put on our English 112 class for the benefit of those who need it. If you really know that you need to brush up, or if I said to you, this is a fragment or this is a run-on, and you are wondering like, well, what is that for real? Then the PowerPoints that I'm going to put on our Moodle page will hopefully help you in determining why it's a fragment or a run-on, and more importantly, what it is that you need to do in order to fix it. All right, guys, so your only task for this week is to finish your analysis essay, get those turned in. They are due by this Sunday coming up, which is October 14th. So not 14th, I'm fast forwarding, October 4th. So make sure that you get those turned in by 11:59 p.m. Also, don't forget to participate in the weekly Got Forms question. And other than that, let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to y'all later.